is my story of how I almost went from being a poor, stereotypical, stressed out, single mom to making over $5K a month online. About 3 years ago now, I was experiencing divorce and figuring out what it was gonna look like for me and my two boys to move forward, just the three of us. I had a ton of family support, but all of the expenses, all of the scheduling, all of the childcare still was gonna fall 100% onto me. And I was really nervous that I was gonna end up spending hours and hours and hours away from home, working a job that I might have to commute to, and not being able to give my boys what they were used to, and also just really what I thought they deserved. I really didn't want to miss a minute of their childhood. It does go by fast, just like they say it does. And so I was also really, really concerned though that I wouldn't be able to make the kind of money I needed to make locally without the commute that would allow them to live a lifestyle similar to the kids that they knew in school that had a two-income household. So a lot of things were mulling around, a lot of possible challenges, a lot of things I was up against and thinking about on how we were gonna make this transition work and work really, really well for all three of us. If you're a single mom or you know a single mom, you know that the biggest challenge is always time. There's just 24 hours in a day, and when you're managing your schedule and the schedule of several other people, depending on how many kids you have, I have two, you just don't have time to do much of anything after you've worked, gotten the groceries, cleaned the house. It really adds up, and you end up becoming one of those people that never really gets to enjoy your kids, never really gets to enjoy your life, and you realize it's just kind of passing you by. Most people these days also know that even with a higher level of education, I, for example, have a master's degree, you still find yourself not being able to find the kind of jobs that may have aligned with the training that you have and the money you want to make, unless you're willing to make several moves over the next few years. And that was also something I just really wasn't looking forward to doing. I wanted to get settled in an area that we really loved, get settled into a house that we loved, and allow my boys to thrive, make friends, and succeed in a place where they could do that. So I was really, really nervous about jumping into another job where our lifestyle was going to be contingent on how I was treated at that job, or if in the next couple of years I needed to make a move, and that move would probably be who knows what state, who knows what school district. It was just a lot to consider. Now, before I started working online, my routine really did consist of getting up about 4 a.m., getting things that I needed done for the day because that was the only time the house was quiet, moving on to getting backpacks ready, getting breakfast ready, laying out outfits, then getting the kids up, making sure that they're brushing their teeth or jumping in the shower, making sure that they're dressed, they've eaten their breakfast, and then hauling them out to the bus stop where I would then go to work. They would do aftercare, which if you are in the US, for example, you know how expensive that gets, or if we had to hire a sitter, how expensive that would be. And then I would get home just in time to grab something out of the freezer that we would make for dinner. We would hang out for maybe 30 minutes, then do our story time, and then our nighttime routine. And it went on like that for months until I just realized I was miserable and I needed to really figure out how I was gonna do something different in terms of expenses. So the money that we were putting out just to live was astronomical, and then also do something different in terms of how I was bringing money in for the things that we needed. So in a couple of other towns that we'd lived in, I became a fan of selling things online. First, because I had to, we had to move, so I needed to get rid of things quickly. And then secondly, just because I was looking for deals and ways to get around spending an arm and a leg on things that I knew that were necessities. And so a couple of towns we lived in, I'd seen people use auction style to do that. And the new town that we'd moved to, I hadn't seen anything like that. And so I was searching for it because I needed it. I needed it for necessity for myself and my kids to get the things we needed. And so because I didn't see anything like that, I thought, well, even though I don't know anybody, I do really need these school clothes and time is of the essence. So I'm gonna put up a dollar auction and I'm gonna let people know what I'm looking for and then go around and grab a handful of things out of my house and post and see if I can get this idea moving, purely because I need to purchase things for much cheaper than what I'm purchasing them for now, if me and my kids are gonna be able to have the things that we for sure need to get moving forward every week. So I started my dollar auction on a Friday. Again, I didn't know anybody, so I put it out there. I spent a little money on a Facebook ad, which was a terrible idea because it didn't get me many people, but the handful of people that it did get understood the concept right away. And not only did they have some of the things that I needed, I had some of the things they needed, and they began to invite other people almost immediately. So by the time school started, I had brand new, never before used backpacks, brand new, never before used shoes, which is a miracle because they fit, brand new name brands, and some gently used school clothes, and then even just some items and things that we were looking for our new space just to have around the house. And I probably spent a total of between $50 and $60 for the whole thing. And this was for 2 boys to get started in school. I couldn't believe that it worked that well. And I also couldn't believe how many people were in the same boat as that I was, and also looking for this type of concept, whether they were looking like me to find the items or they were just looking to make some cash without a ton of effort, something they could do online, something they could do kind of in the meantime, where they could get a fast turnaround. So the way that the dollar auction method works is you set it up in a free Facebook group, and then you and other people post items they want to get rid of at a minimum starting bid of $1. I think some people get nervous about the $1, but most items definitely don't stay at $1 by the time the auction is over. So what ends up happening is the person who's looking for the item gets a great deal on the item that they're looking for, and the person who's selling gets cash for something that was basically just taking up space in their house anyway. Now, initially, of course, I was skeptical. This was a shot in the dark when I put it out there. It was, basically a desperate move. But as they say, necessity is the mother of invention. And since putting it out, it's just grown by leaps and bounds. The first week that it was open, we had several hundred people join. The first couple months, into the thousands. It was amazing to see just how many people, one, grabbed the concept quickly, but two, again, we're just looking for something like this and nobody had set one up in their area. So my goal in continuing to establish this method, so the method now is not only that initial auction, but now I've established different income streams that come out of that auction, membership levels, ways where I myself, who's a buyer, can achieve an income for being a dollar auction manager and marketer, and people who are sellers can get the kind of income that they're looking to get. In some cases, that's been life-changing income for a lot of the people and the moms specifically that I've met who are utilizing my dollar auction. So initially, just the conflict and doubt that I faced in starting the auction was, of course, how much time is it really going to take me to run something like this successfully, especially if right now I still have a job that I have to do and I'm not in a place to be able to transition to doing it full time. And what I found out is that when I put together all the time that I spend, my auction runs from, I still get up at 4 a.m. It's a hard habit to break, but check-ins start at 4 for me, and I go close down at 9:30 every night. And when I string together all the time that I've spent that day, checking in, doing timestamps, answering questions, it's a total of about 2 hours. This is something that I can do on my laptop that's right there every day anyway, or something that I typically, sometimes you'll see me in the grocery store, I'll pull out my phone while I'm standing in line and I'll be there clearing auctions, answering questions, and then I'm done for the next couple of hours while I get my groceries put away and move on with whatever me and my boys are doing that day. And then of course, everybody knows that it takes money to make money, right? Everybody knows it takes money to make money. And so is there a huge investment to even start doing something like this when there's cash that comes immediately? No, Facebook groups are free. And everybody's got stuff lying around their house that they just don't want or need anymore. So literally your investment into doing something like this is just the time. It doesn't cost you anything to get started on this. It was pretty easy for me to quickly overcome those doubts because the results were so immediate. I found myself checking in on the auction even more frequently than I even really needed to, just because it was exciting to see how many people were there. It was exciting to realize I was doing this so quickly and that people were really catching on that fast. So when memberships and things like that rolled in, it was just very exciting to see how quickly this went from just a concept, an idea, to how quickly others saw it as a platform for their success, and even local businesses started to say, okay, wow, you really have a group here of concentrated local buyers. How do I pay you to advertise what I'm doing to your audience? So in the early days of getting my auction set up, again, this was a new concept. I'd seen it in other places, but I'd never run anything like this before. I was really kind of making it up as I went along, and including rules and time frames and things like that, because I have a specific method, but it's not a required method, but it's a method I know that works. But I was kind of playing it by ear to see what would stick. I also took a lot of suggestions from people who said, okay, I want to use your platform, but this is hard or this isn't working. And so we'd kind of bat things back and forth and implement rules that made sense for my group. One of the first earliest big sales that I saw happen, somebody posted like an old rundown small camper trailer, and I thought, oh man, I wonder if anybody's gonna bid on that. It needed a lot of work, and to my surprise, that thing went for over $400. You just never know what somebody's looking for. I myself have stocked my kids up on these name brand clothes, which is what I look for primarily, just because my kids grow so much. People have sold nostalgic items, baseball cards. Somebody sold 8 cans of corned beef hash for $9. I mean, you just never know how well something's gonna do, and that's the beauty of it. You could get way more than $1 for something that has literally just been sitting in your kitchen drawer. So another thing I noticed pretty much right off the bat is that although we were a sales site and people were making money bidding and selling, what was really happening was this development of a community effort. So people who knew each other would invite other people to join, especially if they knew they needed to make some extra cash, or maybe they had a whole bunch of stuff in their house and they were looking for a way to help them get rid of those things. Or, people were doing things like quitting jobs because of stress, or they were at home because they were caring for somebody who needed their assistance full time and not being able to interact or communicate with other adults. And what I found out with this platform is that changed a lot of that for a lot of people. They started to build friendships, support each other's endeavors, gain financial freedom. We had one seller who found the dollar auction and started reselling her items on there. She's a reseller, so she buys things to sell, and just bought a house last year off of the income that she's making selling items that way. So it's been a place for financial freedom, a place for people to make friends, a place for people to talk about current events, and ways for people to overall support each other, not just through buying and selling items. The first time I realized that my dollar auction was making an actual community impact was the first time I went to a yard sale that was organized by 2 of the ladies that had been selling in my dollar auction. When I showed up there, it was set up like a store. They had it categorized seasonally, great deals on things that were listed there. They were telling me about how they had used the dollar auction to combat things like anxiety and depression. They were learning to interact again, and did that through interacting with the sellers on the page. And then as they'd come to pick items up and just sort of talk about the things that they were selling. But at their yard sale, nonprofits and different organizations around town showed up to get great deals on a lot of stuff that they give out to kids, to help people around our community with necessities and things that they need. So for me, that was a game changer. That said to me that, wow, this interaction right here, this opportunity wouldn't have happened if the dollar auction in my community didn't exist. So my dollar auction now is about 2 years in. We have about 14,000 members, a little bit more than that. Auctions are flying in and out every day. Several people have transitioned from working jobs to now working at home like I do, where they are able to be available for their children and available for their families, but also be bringing in an income, doing something that they love doing, building friendships, and just overall finding a way to support each other in the community that we live in and support small businesses that have made an investment in the group. I have sponsorship, advertisement opportunities in my group now for small businesses who may be priced out of other opportunities or just looking to really focus down on a local advertisement opportunity. And so, yeah, people in the dollar auction tend to support our own. And so they patronize those businesses 100% and encourage other people to do that too. And so for me personally and professionally, I never thought I'd be saying I'm a dollar auction manager full time and that's my gig, but that's what it is. I have the opportunity to be with my kids full time for what they need and be present doing that. I have the opportunity to continue to work from home, and the opportunity to serve my community in doing that. And I love what I do. I love working the auction every day. I love meeting new people. And I'm super excited about seeing other moms like me set these up in their communities and have that same opportunity. So if you want to learn exactly how the dollar auction method works and how to set one up for free in your community, check out this video.